What's up everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to another build video. This one came from last year, one of my favorite projects I've ever done. This is a Slat mudroom bench, entryway bench. Really complicated product or build with a very simplistic final result. Really enjoyed it. The walnut I got to use for this was absolutely stunning. The figure on it was amazing. So starting off, getting all that grain lined up. This will be for the case. There are 2 drawers in this. And this design is actually super similar to one offered by Crate and Barrel. And that is what the client requested. And with some time I was able to convince them that if they're going to go custom, there are definitely some design changes that I would like to make, and I'm not in this to carbon copy a big box design. So the Crate and Barrel design had the slats going with the grain, which is far and away the easy way to go. So I chose the other way. And so the slats coming down the wall, across the seat, down the front are all sequenced and grain matched from darkest tones on the outside to the lightest tones on the inside. This was an unforeseen huge difficulty in the build. It really added just a ton of extra work and thought process throughout the project, but the end result, I hope you'll agree, was certainly worth it. So the drawer fronts where they meet the seat were mitered, so that was like 42 separate miters to line up all at exactly the same time. And then putting these slats in cross grain with a hardwood case construction required that movement was taken into account. To do so, what I did was I pre-drilled them with the router here, and I just made a little jig for the foot of my router so it would ride in those dados. The dados are tapered. I figured a square dado would make for a tight fit, so I tapered them so they would fit snugly in there and they wouldn't be able to move side to side laterally, but they would also be able to float freely. And then, since they're piston-fit drawers, each one of these attachment points had to be counterbored on the inside to allow the drawer to pass by. So you can see the fixed point is up front by the miter. That'll maintain that gap, and then it'll float moving backwards in the case. And then all of the drawer fronts are the same way, so they've got 3 anchor points as well. You can see those slots allow for the movement. The anchor point up front keeps it in place and maintains the gap. And yeah, overall, super overly complicated and just my style. So case construction was all sliding dovetails. And got the seat, and then it'll have the drawer supports, the center support to support the drawer supports and divide the drawers, and then I brought that center support down underneath as well. So kind of getting the case together here, snug fit on those sliding dovetails. The hardest time getting the correct sliding fit, just a little bit off, and those suckers really stick. And this is such a linear, angular piece. I wanted to add just a little touch of something to it that broke up that angularity and line. So I took a rounded profile on that center division. So using Euro Beach for the drawer bodies, and and all hand cut, half blind dovetails up front, dovetails in the back, and kind of a classic case construction here. So got the drawer sides fit loosely, dovetails cut, and then we'll go back through and do the backs of the drawers. So get the height right first, and I usually get that so it fits in snugly, and then when it comes to the fit after the drawer is assembled, that's when I'll come and take maybe about a 1/16 of an inch off the top, somewhere between a 1/16 and an 1/8 to allow for wood movement. And these are the drawer fronts. They got dovetailed first, and then those dados, those tapered dados, next to allow for the slats coming down the front. So move a lot of the waste out with just a cordless rigid router. That thing is awesome. And then take in that last little bit in the corners, removing the waste by hand. Layout super important. Mox and Vise is very handy for this, and I should mention, not sponsored on most of this. Rigid did provide my cordless tools, and I wouldn't support anything that doesn't serve me very, very well. And this is my favorite ironic moment of the build: setting hand cut dovetails with a domino. Yeah, good tight fit, love it. So once the drawers are assembled, I've got drawer stops installed in the underside of the seat, and then I'll take a small chamfer off of the back top side. That'll just let it get in and out a little bit easier, and just break all those corners. And this is kind of the first loose fit. Nothing's glued yet, and yeah, looking nice. Man, I love this project. I think this was right after I got my bronze number 4 Lee Nielsen smoother, and that thing is a dream. The extra weight is crazy. It's so worth it. So yeah, I got the drawers together. We'll get the slats in next. I think I may have skipped over that in the video, and I apologize for the format. This was earlier last year, 2019, so some of the formatting came from a phone, some came from a real camera, and it's just a little funky on this one. But I wanted to get this build out because I'm really proud of how it ended up. You can see those little cauls I used on the dovetails. I was taught that, and it really, really helps. Trying to cut, save a buck and get budget down. Drawer bottoms are just 1/4 inch Baltic, and then got the slats on, got them attached, which I probably would have done that differently next time, just because the slats, getting the dados cut and lined up, there was a little bit of tolerance error, and I had to adjust a couple of the dados one way or the other, and it was just risky doing so. So the unforeseen difficulty in this was the sheer volume of taking this little tiny edge off by hand. Well, you've got 42 of those on the top, which means you've got 42 across the front and on both sides. So now we're at 168, and then the back slats, it ends up being just an incredible amount of work to dial in the details. So I originally envisioned this to be those miters to meet perfectly, but I think it would have stabbed into the legs and as you sat on it, so decided to take that little bit off the front. And then these side panels, they needed a little just touch, just something special about them. So I decided to take sapwood and string inlay it in just a design, and I nipped off the corners. It just kind of looked right sitting there, and I'm really pleased with how that little touch ended up at the end. So sapwood, and I think it was it was cherry and sapwood for these, and then the client requested a Y, which is what their last name starts with, inlaid into the bottom shelf. Just a little touch, make it all their own. So this is the first time I've used BLO to pre-finish, and it was recommended somewhere. I don't know that I would do that again. It's just a non-drying, so it just collected dust and stuff. And yeah, so you can see just the incredible amount of parts and pieces. Everything had to go together and come apart, and go together and come apart. And this is the back wall slat, and it had kind of a cool hanger system. It's not really shown in this, but it allows for metal hooks to go between the slats and behind and kind of attach to this wall unit, which is pretty neat. And there we go, the final product. Again, just really proud of this one. I think it'll go down as one of my favorites I've put into the portfolio, and I appreciate you tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.